Good morning everyone, Hendra here, coming to you live from the picturesque town of Tulbagh. I'm out here in the bushes today, busy looking for some carnivorous plants, and there's a lot of really cool bulbs. This is kind of a Renosterfelty situation over here, very sandy, very dry at the moment. We're in the middle of spring, middle of September, so early spring actually. It's been a bit dry, but there's some really awesome diversity going on, a lot of amazing flowers, so I'm gonna walk around and let's see what we find. So just to show off a little bit where I am at the moment, this is a fire break between farms. This is alluvial Renosterfeld, so it's formerly kind of riverbed. If you look at the ground, there's a lot of fairly round polished stones. There's a lot of bulbs here, as you can see, and it's very rich, which made it really good for farming. There's very little of this left, and it holds an innumerable amount of plants relative to the area. There's a lot of bigger stuff in here. So this is Renosterfeld, there's no proteas. It's generally found on richer soils and lowlands. When you start getting up into the mountains, it's a lot fynbos a lot more. Beyond the kind of ridge line of trees there, that will all be fynbos. As you come lower down, it's predominantly this Renosterfeld. So we'll start off here with a few nice things. This is Lachenalia, a type of asphodel, similar to aloes and other things. I'm unsure of the species. It's a beautiful pink one. These are winter growing, like most of the bulbs here, spring flowering. There is another species dotted in here, the Lachenalia flora. Apparently only has one leaf. Very much sparser flowers. Only a handful on here, it's light blue. You can see a nice light blue one compared to the kind of pinky white. This one is particularly good with nice pink tips. And also down here, there's an orchid, Pterygonium orobanchoides. The weedy monkshood. This is pollinated by oil collecting bees, if I remember correctly. It's very common through the Cape. There's also an albuca slime lily. This is just kind of in the little area around me. There's innumerable other things, a lot of asteraceous guys. I'm not too familiar with them. And this is just in a fire break. It's not even optimal. This wonderful fellow here in the road is Gladiolus alatus, I believe. The Kalkwinki, or the turkey. Very bright, vivid colored, low sitting plants. A lot of gladiolus get a lot taller. This is very common around this time of year in all the lowland areas. Super easy to spot and really charismatic. There's a few more behind me here with a few more of the Lachenalia uniflora. Beautiful blue color. This is a really full spot, and you get them kind of all through the fire break. It's very similar diversity going through here, flanked by mountains in the back. And just down the path here, we find ourselves with another orchid. This is Satyrium erectum. It's a very widespread and common Satyrium. Satyrium is a nice group of kind of turret flowering orchids. It's a bright pink flower. There's a few more here, and they are much bigger than this as well. Some of the stems I've seen are almost 60 centimeters tall. We also have a helichrysum at the back that's kind of bright plant, kooigoed they call it. In the indigenous language, it's also a very useful medicinal plant. We have a Morea galleri, I believe this is. It's walnut focus. There you go. Very cute and dainty little flower. Comes in several colors. I'm used to seeing a more orange one. This is super cute. Has very nice little yellow nectar guides here. It's very small as far as Moreas go. Usually the flowers can kind of be about this big. Some are even this large when you get to the peacock Moreas. It's a very nice little site. Let's keep going. Rest in peace, Mr. or Mrs. Sheepy. On the farms, this isn't a super uncommon sight. Sheep really find a way of getting out and eventually perishing. It's just sad to see, but at least it's feeding the ground a little bit, I guess. So before we get to the really cool spot, we have a nice Cape star here, Poredia capensis. It's just a nice white form. Very iridescent center. They're pollinated by monkey beetles, similar to the Drosera flora that we're about to look at. I was really getting an eyeful of these. No. So this is an incredible stand. Drosera flora is a kind of very dark pink, almost purple colored form. If you look at the buds that have finished, they're that's a sedge, very dark pinky purple in color. And very dry sand at the moment. It's been fairly dry this last while. We've got some rain coming in this week. Very tall, nice form. And they're filling a lot of this basin, growing alongside Drosera pauciflora. There were some flowers here. This is a smaller Pallas flora to the one I'm accustomed to. Smaller flowers and smaller plants, maybe due to the dryness. If you look here at my feet, I'm surrounded by them. So identifying Pallas flora is a bit easy compared to Carnivorous that we have here. Carnivorous gets red. Pallas flora is always bright green. There's actually millions of them behind me. Bright green color, a few flowers, tend to be very clumpy. Carnivorous is a smaller, often redder plant, and much more widespread. These have a very tall inflorescence relative to the size of plant. Only about 2 or 3 flowers max per plant. Usually just about one, hence the name Pallas flora, Pallas meaning few, and flora meaning flower. Few flowered sundew. Makes it pretty easy to remember. And they're just growing in a little depression here. There's a big dam over there, so water obviously moves down this area. The alluvial catchments are often very flat and catch a lot of water, and are very wet in winter and absolutely bone dry in summer. You'll see when we get around the corner here just what I mean by that. While not a big pretty flower, this plant here, wild rosemary, is kind of a cornerstone rhinostophyll plant. It's very easily visible by its white kind of spotty flowers. And when setting seed, it has this kind of fluffy, almost cotton-like seeds. And if you break off a little piece of the stem and crush it between your fingers, it smells exactly like rosemary, hence the name. It's quite common around here. I mean, you can see there's just loads and loads and loads of it. And it's one of the main shrubs that makes up rhinostophyll vegetation. So if you see this, you know you're probably in rhinostophyll. So here we have a lot more typical alluvial type habitat. We've got a big kind of water bath pond situation going on over here, and a lot of wet soil at our feet with quite a few cool plants. Here we have a Romulea, a wine cup. I really like these, they're very cute. Also mimic some Drosera or vice versa. Unfortunately here there's also a lot of Patterson's curse, Echium, all this purple you see out here. That's very, very highly invasive and very frustrating. It's quite a difficult plant to deal with. It has irritating hairs on the stem, so you have to use gloves and whatever when you yank it out. Thankfully, the actual water itself is colonized pretty much entirely by Porridia aquatica, the water star. This is actually Carnivorous, these little white ones right here. The stars, you can see them out there. They are, in fact, star-shaped. There's a lot more in this pond over here. So if you get right up to them, there you go. Very cute, smaller white flower. The flowers do actually get much larger than this. They are cultivated. They're allegedly very easy to grow. And right here, this is a creme de la creme of sister flora. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these Drosera sister flora here. There were a few with flowers over yonder, so let's go find them. I've decided I will walk you over past all these amazing Cape Stars. The water is absolutely teeming with tadpoles that occur in this pond. This is completely seasonal. When the weather dries out, gets hotter towards summer, this will pretty much empty completely. All these plants survive as bulbs in the ground, or they reseed every year. It's very, very lush. There's a nice big stand of the Gladiolus alatus for Kalkukis from earlier. There's a really nice small purple irid all around here. The name evades me at this moment. I believe it's a Gycerrhiza. There's a lot of Gycerrhizas around here. And here you can see the absolute sea of Sundews, the Drosera sister flora. Very, very tall, up to 30 centimeters across. They're mostly done flowering. There's a few that are open, and it just goes on and on and on. So we're a little bit above the waterline. It's quite sandy here, but it's not waterlogged at all. Like people kind of expect carnivorous plants to be all bog plants. So it's not quite the case. But here you go. Very beautiful, deep, dark pink in color, bordering on purple. The camera doesn't really do it justice. If we move along, there's a handful more. And the sizing of the flowers varies a little bit. I think it depends on the size of the plant, how much water and nutrients are available to it in the growing season. Like this one over here is also so vibrant. It's a little bit smaller if you put my hand next to it for scale. As far as sister flora goes, it's not very big on the flower, but the plant itself Got a 20 centimeter hand. This is probably a 25 to 30 centimeters long. And they're just standing all over. The purple one generally is fairly sterile in most of the populations. I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure how they spread. And here we have an absolutely beautiful white Carnivorous. I'll add the name on later. It's very delicate, very bright white color. The entire flower is white, even got white pollen. There's actually more Drosera flora here. This is more typical, what I'd expect for them. Wider leaves, very bright green color. They also have very long snap tentacles around the edges of the plant. So it's kind of golden green color. Slightly alluvial is exactly where you'd expect to find them most of the time. Another cute little plant growing with it is this Lacunalia. It's a flay Lacunalia. Very small and cute. Has a much more kind of open flower structure compared to the tubular ones we saw earlier. It's super duper cute and very tiny. I really love it. If we look around a bit more, it's just Sundews everywhere. You can see more Cape stars. And it's very open here in the alluvial bits. You got bigger vegetation where it's dry on the edges, and where it's wet, it's just an open field full of Sundews, full of Ixias. And this is only for a few weeks of the year that it looks this nice. So it's really worth coming down in Cape Spring. Here, hiding in the bushes, is one of the Cape's cutest little orchids. This is Disperus villosa, the baby kapi. They're called kapis, so it means a hood, like a witch's hood, for this little, literally hood at the back of the flower. So a really small little guy, also pollinated by oil collecting bees. All these kind of little bright greeny, early flowering orchids in the Disperus and Pterygonium are bee pollinated. And it's so small. Look at that. What a blessing to see. It's quite a common one. You really have to look carefully to find it hidden among the vegetation. What you see glowing here is all Drosera flora. It's absolutely mind-boggling how many of them there are here, because often they're densely clumped, but not over such an expansive area. I mean, this is probably about 100 square meters that's just coated in them. All the lovely glowing there in the grass, complemented by the Carnivorous. It's a shame these aren't open. I've seen photos from this site where it's, you know, a little sea of purple. But we're a bit late for all these ones, and not very many are flowering this year, interestingly. Might just not have been a fantastic year for them. Here, close to the car now, found something that is just absolutely, truly stunning. Ixia grandiflora. This is a really nice, big irid species, and it's very variable. Here, just next to each other, we've got a very bright pink one, the darker center, very dark purpley, and then hiding in there is an almost completely true pink one. I've seen some even darker ones hidden around. There's lots and lots and lots of them. You see here, there's another very nice bright one in the open here. I mean, how stunning is that? I'm very lucky to be able to find things like this. And it's cool to see the variation between and within populations. Fynbos is a bit more complicated than, I guess, people would realize, and color isn't always a good thing to go off. And speaking of vivid colors, we've got a very nice beetle daisy over here. This might be Gorteria or something similar, and the Asteraceae. This very bright centers are for attracting monkey beetles that pollinate them. And they're quite common, all these irids in these nice open areas, compared to the thicker bush that's over here. This is actually very nice and tall. I'm not sure what these are. Okay, here's another member of the oil pollinated guild. This is Pterygonium catholicum. I don't even know what the common name of this one is. Very unassuming looking, got a little cowl, hence the name monk's hood. Has a very weird spiced smell, probably to attract the bees. Most of them use the same genus, Rediviva, oil collecting bees, which is probably where the scent comes from. It's very cool. There's a yellow flowering form that is up in the mountains, but that's later in summer. So pretty cool, a very cute little guy. There's some Drosera flora just there behind him. This thing is all over the place, borderline a weed in this area. Okay, that is it for Tulbagh. Thank you everyone for coming with me on this little plant adventure, and hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and see you next time.